Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Al. With the release of the Dragonflight pre-patch, many players have begun the process of exploring their classes. This includes adapting to new talent tree options, spending hours playing around with choices to figure out the most optimal and powerful builds. And I've been getting a lot of messages from you guys asking me about class build recommendations. As someone who has spent the last few expansions playing Rogue as my main, I wanted to help guide new and returning Rogue players and share the knowledge I have collected over my time in the Dragonflight beta. Dragonflight Talents open a lot of new options and playstyle choices and create new gameplay opportunities for a variety of classes. In almost all cases, players are encouraged to explore different talents and experiment with a variety of builds rather than focusing on limiting yourself to just the top performing options. But everyone is looking for a starting point. So in today's video, I wanted to cover some of the most widely recommended rogue builds to check out during the Dragonflight pre-patch to help you get started on your journey into the next chapter of World of Warcraft. But right before that, most of you guys watching these videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do. So let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel as well as hit the bell if you're watching these videos anyway, especially if you're looking to get regular class and content updates for all the future and upcoming Dragonflight pre-patch and beta builds. I'm gonna go over these rogue playstyles in the alphabetical order, starting with the spec of Assassination. Assassination Rogue is an excellent spec that excels at focusing down and dispatching a singular target, making it an excellent choice in raid content as well as in PvP. The standard raiding build for Assass will focus on providing as much support to your party while maximizing single target boss damage. This build provides a unique utility of atrophic poison, which weakens boss damage, making rogues mandatory in PvE content. We invest points into the middle column to pick up the talent of Mark for Death for better damage output. Afterwards, we spend points on the left side to achieve better energy regen and combo point generation. In the spec tree, we're going to prioritize Kingsbane, a powerful poison that we can apply on a target every minute. During Kingsbane, you want to focus all your attention on the poison target, as every poison application increases the damage of Kingsbane by 20%. This single target build also benefits from execute damage increases, becoming more effective when bosses fall into critical condition, as well as 2 charges of Shiv, which makes burst windows and timing a lot easier to achieve. The ability of Deathmark replaces Vendetta and will mimic all bleeds and poisons on your primary target, which helps with resource generation, stronger Kingsbane windows, and causes the target to take more damage from all attacks during the duration. This build is going to focus on lighting up your damage cooldowns. Try to line up Deathmark, Kingsbane, and Shiv together. Every minute save a Shiv for Kingsbane poison windows, otherwise try not to let Shiv reach 2 charges. And be sure to maintain bleeds and slice and dice during the cooldown downtime. The Assassination Dungeon build focuses on picking up the most useful utility in Mythic Plus dungeons, like the ability of Gouge to help interrupt casts and certain abilities. We expand our AoE output with Crimson Tempest, Throne Precision, Serrated Bone Spike, and Indiscriminate Carnage in the spec tree, and we adjust into Deeper Stratagem in the class tree. This build will use Carnage cooldown to spread bleeds onto nearby targets easily and should be used as often as possible. This playstyle plays the same against bosses, but it becomes more interesting in AoE encounters, focusing on spreading bleeds onto nearby foes while committing Shiv into high priority targets. When it comes to PvP, there's a lot of ways of building your character, since PvP situations tend to be more nuanced. I heavily encourage you to try a variety of talents and builds, because in PvP, certain talents gain incredible value because of how complex PvP encounters can be. A standard build usually consists of Elusiveness for survivability, Mark for Death for combo point generation, and focuses on bleeds for greater burst and spread pressure, using Shiv in order to help reduce the target's healing taken while staying as aggressive as humanly possible. When it comes to the Shadowlands Bard power system, which will work for a limited time during the pre-expansion update, most Assassination Rogue builds will work well with the Venthyr Covenant. You want to switch into the Necrolord, however, if you're looking to PvP. The conduits you want to use are the ones that enhance your poison damage and the effectiveness of your Covenant ability. When it comes to legendaries, the Duskwalkers should be the best choice, but as of right now, it simply doesn't work with the Deathmark ability, though hopefully it will once it gets fixed in the next few days. Until then, just use Deathly Shadows for great single target output, or Zoldyck for AoE encounters. And you can't go wrong with Master Assassin in PvP, but just about every legendary has value within PvP content. Outlaw Rogue is a fast-paced scoundrel that excels in AoE and Mythic Plus content. In Dragonflight, your cleave capabilities get expanded further beyond 5 targets, and your rotation can change drastically depending on how you choose to build your character. Outlaw class kit is very similar to Assassination, consisting of similar talent choices for group utility and resource generation. The class kit heavily favors pistol shot gameplay. Talents like Greenskin empower pistol shot damage, while Fan the Hammer lets you stack up multiple charges of shots together, firing them off in a barrage of bullets, generating an incredible amount of combo points. Dreb Blade's cooldown gets reduced as we spend more combo points, making it an efficient choice in all types of situations. Gaining and losing Adrenaline Rush buff causes you to gain maximum combo points. And the Devious Strat talent increases your combo point cap, further increasing the damage of all finishers. The playstyle of Outlaw follows a very simple rule: keep all of your abilities always on cooldown. This goes for Adrenaline Rush and Dreb Blades. Try using these abilities as often as possible throughout an encounter without overcapping on combo points. Make sure you don't overcap with pistol shots either. Always spend your current combo points before using any pistol shot procs. It's best to spend combo points into Between the Eyes debuff or the Slice and Dice buff. If both of these are active, spend the rest of your combo points on Dispatch. And don't forget to use Roll the Bones to maintain and combat buff at all times. The Outlaw Rogue Mythic Dungeon build is very similar, focusing on buffing the effectiveness of Dancing Steel for better cleave capabilities. The rotation in dungeons is also very similar to how you play the spec in raids. Just make sure to maintain Blade Flurry as often as possible while continuing to maximize your single target damage output. Like previously mentioned, PvP builds are a lot more open-ended. There are a lot of viable talents that can be much stronger in specific player versus player encounters, so feel free to experiment. The starter build utilizes similar class utility as Assassination, focusing on its enhanced control with Blinding Powder, and increases your burst capabilities with improved Between the Eyes, focusing on sustained damage output, cleave, and control while engaging with other players. When it comes to borrowed powers, most Outlaw Rogues will play the Venthyr Covenant, but you can also play Kyrian as a simple gameplay alternative. The Conduits usually run above the effectiveness of Roll the Bones, Sinister Strike, and your Covenant ability. The most common legendary most pirate rogues use is the Shadow Dust to help reduce the cooldown of offensive abilities. In PvP, you can use just about any legendary of your choice, since many of the stronger effects become talent choices in Dragonflight. Subtlety is a strong single target focus spec that can expand its identity into the realm of cleave and large AoE encounters. It can focus on empowering their offensive cooldowns or improve its sustained damage output. Overall, Subtlety gains a variety of talent options that help it adapt in just about any combat encounter. Just like every other rogue spec, Subtlety opts into group utility, though it does delineate into the Shadow Dance focus playstyle. In the spec tree, Subtlety is looking to empower its Shadow Dance windows, which enhances burst capabilities. The ability of Sepsis helps benefit those burst windows, while Gloomblade helps strike through the target's armor, increasing sustained damage outside of major cooldowns. Subtlety rotation follows a few simple rules. 1. Try to use Symbols of Death as often as possible. It's best if this ability is always on cooldown to maximize damage output. And 2. Try to use as many burst cooldowns and abilities inside of Symbols of Death windows, saving charges of Shadow Dance, Sepsis, and Shadow Blades to combine them together for greater output. Build combo points with Shadow Strikes when dancing, and Gloomblade outside of cooldowns. Maintain Slice and Dice and Rupture at all times, and spend the rest of your resources into Eviscerates. When it comes to Mythic Dungeons, Subtlety will prioritize as many AoE-centric options as possible. with abilities like Secret Technique and Shuriken Tornado that greatly enhance your AoE output. Like before, try to line up most major damage cooldowns around your Symbols of Death windows for maximum effectiveness. When fighting more than 3 targets, you will be spending a lot of the time casting Shuriken Storm to generate combo points. Try to maintain Rupture on as many targets as humanly possible, and make sure Slice and Dice never falls off. Afterwards, you can prioritize combo points into Secret Technique if you have it talented, and spend the rest of your combo points into Black Powder when fighting against 3 or more targets. As usual, it's advised to experiment with talents and find the build that suits you best when it comes to PvP content, but the standard build that has become quite popular seems to revolve around the talent of Dance Macabre, which helps amplify the damage of your abilities inside of Shadow Dance as long as these abilities do not repeat. You will need a lot of practice with this talent option if you wish to maximize its burst capabilities. Shadow Dance increases your damage greatly when engaged in PvP combat, and generates bonus combo points, which helps maximize burst windows even further. Subtlety also gains an extra charge of Vanish to help improve your defensive capabilities. And when it comes to borrowed powers, Subtlety rogues will use the Venthyr Covenant in raids, and the Kyrian Covenant in dungeons and in PvP. Your conduits will prioritize the uptime of Shadow Blades, and enhance the output of your Covenant abilities. When it comes to legendaries, you'll primarily be using the Shadow Dust legendary for raid encounters, and swapping to Finality in dungeons and PvP situations. And this is going to be the full list of recommended builds for new and returning rogues that are looking to play in the Dragonflight pre-patch. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you currently planning on maining Rogue heading into Dragonflight? And what creative new builds have you been experimenting in your free time? And what other classes or playstyles would you like to see me cover in a future video? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single live stream and video, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video, or discuss with the other members of the community what you think about the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.